Aaron, good morning. How are you, my man?
I'm alive.
Yeah? Well, it's early. Too early in the morning?
Early enough.
One of the downsides of being in a band, you have to wake up early and promote your shows. And
It's also a plus, though, because, most bands don't get out of bed till 2 in the afternoon. So
what is a normal day like for you? Do you wake up, you come in, you do something like this, then do you take a nap during the day? Or
Not usually. Naps and me don't get along very good. I'm in the worst mood ever after a nap, so I try to avoid napping.
Yeah, and I mean, I am too. I hate
I'm not
having
good
to
at
wake
it. Some
up
people
twice.
Are good,
So then you do a show. You'll do the show tonight, and then do you just get on a bus? And
we're touring in a bus right now.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of writing for the next record whenever the time comes for that to be released. I'll be prepared. So
Do you ever beat yourself up like you're not writing enough? Sometimes I go, I'm not doing enough work for the show.
Every once in a while, yeah.
Yeah.
If I go a week without creating something new, I feel kind of complacent and a bit bored. I suppose,
it's almost hard for me to go and have fun because I always think there's something I should be doing.
Yes.
And in a way, I guess it's sort of similar for a musician because there's not necessarily a time frame that you're on or whatever, but you know that there's a pending, you have to get stuff done musically.
Yeah, sort of the elephant in the room is the next
Right.
record that I have to write.
Yeah.
And since this one did a lot better than I think any of us, well, at least certainly me, expected. There's actually people who care to hear what I'm going to do next. So it's a different kind of pressure.
Well, this is interesting. Your story is interesting from what I understand of it. So prior to Awolnation, you were in a band, Hometown Hero, I think, or Hometown Heroes or something, right?
Hometown Hero was my first attempt at really releasing an album. I'm trying to unzip my jacket.
Go ahead.
Very,
you can unzip
very smoothly.
You don't have to worry about making noise or anything like that.
My hair's still
while
wet
you're-
from the shower. It's that kind of, as you folks can see online.
So on this Hometown Hero, so you put this is signed, you guys get signed to a record label,
Yeah.
and you put out a record. Now that for a band is normally, that's unbelievable that they even have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys put out a record. It does what, moderately well, or
No, it did very poorly. Actually.
poorly?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So it does
Moderately
poorly.
poorly.
Now, what I find amazing is that most people, they get one break.
Yeah.
You end up in another band. I forget. Under the
Influence of Giants.
Yes.
Yeah.
That band is signed to a different record label.
Uh-huh. Island Def Jam. Had a
Opportunity
Cuban cigar with Jay-Z.
Opportunity number 2. So what happens when you guys put out a record? Does that poorly as well?
Yeah.
So that one does poorly.
Yeah.
Then
The thing was, there was a lot of hype. There was a lot of folks around us telling us that, I'm going to be the next biggest thing with both these projects. And the stars didn't align. The music industry is a strange place. You really don't know. I mean, all your peers around you could think you have a hit song, and then for whatever reason, radio programmers don't want to play it, or maybe it's tested and folks don't want to call in and request it. You never know why a song hits or doesn't.
do you think that the people who were surrounding you saying this is going to be great, like all the record label people and that kind of stuff, oh, you guys are going to be the next big thing, do you think they really believed that, or they're just
otherwise they wouldn't have invested
I
their
thought
time
maybe
in it.
they just do that to everyone. I
think they do also, because if it's part of the label, then they have to be supportive. It's a team effort. It's a business, it's a company. So that happened, but like I said, the stars.
So when
didn't
that
align.
happens, so now you're in your second band. Most bands don't even get one opportunity to be on a record label and put out a record. You at that point have had 2 opportunities to
so
put
I thought the
records
second
out.
opportunity was for sure the one,
Right.
because we already failed on the first one, right?
Right,
So I figured, well, this is gonna be great,
and then
it was a great experience. It just wasn't the right time for the masses to hear what we were doing, I guess.
And what goes through your mind at that point now? I mean, do you feel, look, I've given
Terrible
this my
thoughts.
all. I mean, seriously, it must have been depressing at
it was.
some level.
It was, it was a huge moment, in my life, a huge obstacle to get through, a mountain to climb, if you will. It was that moment where I had to really reconsider if music was the right road for me to
Right.
take.
I did the same thing. I had been fired from a bunch of different radio stations,
Right.
you know, and at one point I go, maybe I just have to. I got fired from a radio station in Seattle before I came here, and I said, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I
Right.
just need to quit. Never make a good living at this. Keep getting fired from all these places, but it's what I wanted to do since I was 8 years old.
Right.
And if I would have given up at that point, I would have never had the success that we ended up having. And you were at a point where you almost were about to give up yourself.
Well, I I knew I was always going to write songs because I have all these song ideas, so that was always going to come to me. But I wasn't sure if I was going to find a way to make a career out of it or make money doing it anymore. So maybe I thought maybe I would just write pop songs for pop
For other
artists,
people,
yeah,
yeah.
something like that. You
Yeah.
know? And so I got into that a little bit. Had no success there, but I got paid enough to buy a couple bean and cheese burritos here and there.
Yeah.
Along the way. But I was dead broke, man. When I wrote this album, and really didn't have a place to call my own. I was living in my best friend's grandma's garage, which didn't have a kitchen or AC.
Hard to bring girls back to that, you know.
Yeah, it was kind of sexy though. It was kind of a cool situation. It was a good location.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Those were some of the funnest times of my life as well because I had nothing to lose. I'd hit rock bottom, so why not make a very ambitious record? And I think that fueled the fire.
How does this Awolnation project come about then? So you've now been in two bands that were on labels. You put out records. Neither one of them do very well. You're at this point. You're living in your friend's grandma's garage. You're poor. You're broke. How do you end up getting this Awolnation project off the ground?
Well, a combination of a few things. Trying to write those pop songs, like I said, allowed me to be around a studio, which when after hours is when I would start to explore my own ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Once I'd done the work that I was being paid to do, I would explore these other possibilities that I had in my head, which ended up being Sail in particular. I wrote with our keyboard player engineering at the same time, which is how I met him in this studio. And we were just sitting there one night and we're like, let's do something we really enjoy instead of this BS that we've been working on. And so that's what we came up with, and it was in a matter of like an hour, that song came.
You come up with that song. And prior to that, you had spent the whole day writing stuff for people like Britney Spears or something like that.
Not even close to as talented, actually, as Britney, which is saying a lot. It was aspiring pop artists,
So So you still have to, I guess, overcome a hurdle of getting a record made and getting it on a record label. Now,
I didn't really want it to be on a label this time. Like we just talked about it. Going through that process 2 times, I didn't think that was the right route for me. I thought that maybe just releasing it for free and then building a possible cult following and being able to sell out small venues was going to be the way to go.
So that's what you aspired to do. So you put a whole record together at that point. Eventually, you put a whole project together, and you're not on a label.
I just wanted to release songs as they came. If I had a new song that I thought was worth hearing and that I wanted to release it, just put it out there in the world.
So how does it then get from, you mentioned this song Sail, and that song gets played on it was played on a bunch of radio stations. You couldn't turn on your television without seeing that song in a commercial.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it in commercials for House on Fox.
Right. As he threw all those pills in the air.
How do you get from just putting something out for free on the internet to that point? What has to happen?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm not sure. Well, we ended up signing a deal with Red Bull Records, and one of the main reasons I did that is because they came to me and offered me to use their studio for free. And
now, is Red Bull Records just like the drink Red Bull? It is
the drink. They do make that drink, but the record label is very, very separate from the energy drink.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a different
but they're affiliated.
situation. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, one funds the other for sure.
Gotcha.
Let's just say that they don't need my success to help them. They're doing just fine. You know? So I thought that was a good opportunity because they wouldn't be looking at me with a microscope like most labels would be looking, and I knew that they would, at the very least, support us being on tour for a long time, and I thought that was going to be kind of our route.
Do they
is
hear
touring.
one of these songs, and that's how they end up signing you, or how did you come to their attention?
Yeah, they heard maybe 4 songs, a song called GFS, Burn It Down, Sail, and a B-side called MF, and they offered me to use their studio for free, no strings attached, which I didn't believe, and turns out it was true, and so of course I took that opportunity to have a free studio
Sure.
and use that,
Yeah.
because I could make songs all day on my computer or in my apartment, but to have a real high-end studio to record proper vocals or live drums or live guitar is a whole nother thing, so I jumped at that opportunity, and when the songs were done I turned them in, and then they wanted to partner up, and they said they wouldn't get in the way of my artistic vision, if you will, and so it was a no-brainer for me. I didn't think we'd have this kind of success in a million years, but
because you'd already been through it. Your
Yeah.
expectations are probably pretty low at that point.
extremely low, but I have high hopes,
Right.
and I just wanted to make the best record I could make, and cut to now, people have been affected by it, and it's been really a miracle,
What is that like when you turn on the TV and you see your song that on all over television?
The TV stuff is more feels more business oriented. I think when you see or hear a good sync, you're like, okay, it's going really well. When you play live shows in front of human beings that are being affected emotionally by the songs, that's when it hits your soul, I guess, differently. But as far as TV stuff goes, I mean, it can be special, if you didn't expect it and you're watching TV or you're making dinner and you hear your song, it just a half a second of any of these songs, I know exactly what it is because I spent too many hours listening to these songs as I was writing them. So
how long does it take you to put like that song "Sail"? You said that pretty much came about in an hour.
It did, but then I ended up adding other instruments to it. But the blueprint of the song was written very quickly.
If you, from start to finish, if you were to take the amount of time from the time that you quickly write the song, but then you add other things and you probably want to go back and tweak it, how much time do you think you spend on each song?
It varies, it really does. I mean, it could be anywhere from, it could be hours. I mean, there's this new song I'm working on that I've spent at least 20 hours listening to and working on and creating, on this tour.
Do you ever put something out and then after it's like on the record now, do you go, man, I should have changed that, or I'm not happy with that?
I try not to look back, but of course, I think every songwriter would admit that there's things they would do differently if they had the chance to go back and start over.
Aaron Bruno from Awolnation is in the studio with us. He'll be at the House of Blues tonight at 8 o'clock. For tickets, call 216-523-2583. Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the suburbs of Los Angeles in a town called Westlake Village,
Mm-hmm.
and I live in Thousand Oaks, which is right by Westlake Village. It's just north of Hollywood, about 32 miles.
Did you? So how did you get the bug to play music?
I guess. My dad taught me how to play La Bamba on a nylon string guitar at a very, very young age, as young as I remember, maybe my earliest memory, really, that matters. And so it was always around. The guitar was always around. I never, was a very shy kid. Didn't think it would turn into a career ever, or that I would have the courage to stand up and play, as if people wanted to hear what I was going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that I think it's extremely courageous or anything now, but I just didn't, as a shy kid, like I said, I just didn't think it would go down like that, But I was just affected by music so much as from my earliest memories, listening to chord progressions, asking my mom what that, a bridge of a song, and I grew up in the 80s, so I got to hear a lot of good pop music, I think, much better than pop music's getting better now, but, I think the 90s and the early 2000s were maybe kind of
a low point of.
I think so, for me, but in the 80s you get Prince and Michael Jackson, at their height. It was great. So I heard a lot of that music, and certain parts about songs would stand out to me, and I'd ask my mom, why do I feel this way about this one part? And she would explain to me, well, that's the bridge of the song, or that's a minor chord that would just happen because my mom was very musical too.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did she know all of this
Yeah,
stuff?
she played guitar. She was a third grade school teacher,
Mhm.
so she learned how to play guitar as well, and would play these "This Land Is Your Land" and so forth and so on for her classes. And so she was able to kind of explain the best way she could what it was that I was feeling about these songs. And just at an early age, I was just affected by the way I felt from songs. Some people just hear music and they enjoy it and don't think again about it, but I
Yeah.
would be obsessed with these songs.
You say that you were shy while you were in school.
I'm still shy now,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, but
Was it so? Did you have an awkward time, like in high school and stuff? I mean, I remember I was. Maybe people who are shy are drawn to be in the spotlight in some way, because I was incredibly shy as a
Right.
child as well, and I still am. I mean, it's weird because you go out, you do stuff in public, you talk on the radio, but I'm still kind of shy. Was it awkward for you in high school, for instance?
absolutely, man. High school is a tough time, I think,
Yeah.
for kids, especially now. And
I always tell people I look back at high school. I thought that everyone else had it together, and I thought that they were, so much cooler or more popular, or that they had it all under control. But in hindsight, when I look back, I'll bet that they were just as insecure as me. I think.
Absolutely, and if they weren't, then they were lying to themselves. I
Yeah.
think, growing up is a weird thing. School is difficult. When you really sit back and look at what we went through, right? In elementary school and high school, it's pretty shocking that we're forced to be put through that. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's kind of interesting that we kind of have
I
to go
did.
to
I
this
didn't.
jail situation.
I hated school. I mean, I was not
hated its
interested
guts,
in it.
you know?
The stuff that I knew what I wanted to do I told you, since I was the age of 8, I knew I wanted to do radio, and
Right.
school did not interest me at all. And you, doesn't sound like you were into school
No,
either.
I enjoyed history a lot and English because, in English you learn about poetry, which I guess at the time, I didn't realize it at the time, but, I was going to eventually write my little poems, my interpretations
Yeah.
of what poetry could be, I guess. And, there are a couple teachers affect me. The subjects that I was interested in, or the teachers that were that I respected, I always got good grades in those classes. But the stuff like what am I going to really do with algebra?
Yeah.
Or what am I certainly going to do nothing with geometry. I promise you that.
Now, did people pick on you and stuff? Was it that
a
bad,
little
or
bit, yeah.
a little bit? For
Little
what?
bit.
Just sort of being.
I was picked on a little bit because for a few different reasons. I had no idea this was going to be an amazing therapy session this morning, so thank you for that. Thank you for helping me release these demons.
We'll bill Red Bull Records.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I mean, it was strange because I was an athlete, in elementary school. I was this size, probably in 5th grade, so I dominated. I went through puberty before anyone else did.
Yeah.
I was the first kid to have like a couple armpit hairs and maybe hairs in other places, and it was strange and awkward, as we all remember. And so I dominated in baseball and football. And then, of course, kids matured and they started to take it really seriously. And the guys were, taking steroids, and creatine was a big thing.
Yeah.
Lifting weights. And right around that time when you get into high school and social cliques start to happen. I realized that I wanted nothing to do with the jock scene at all, Excuse me. And so I stopped playing sports because everybody's catching up to me and starting to become much better than me, which was frustrating because I was good without trying.
Yeah.
And B, I didn't really feel like I fit in with the popular crowd anymore, which ended up being, the athletes.
Mm-hmm.
In my high school. And I fell in love with surfing and music. So that was it, and I remember it being difficult for my dad because he loved, there's a bond you do with your dad. There's something you could do physically together if your parents are into that kind of thing. And so for me, playing baseball, playing catch, practicing, throwing the football around or training in any sort of way was a great bonding experience with me and my father. So when I decided to quit, I think it was hard on him.
Disappointing to him.
Yeah. He didn't, it wasn't a judgmental thing. He didn't give me a hard time, but I could tell it was rough, But we always had this bond about other stuff as well. And I was lucky enough to have an incredible dad growing up, and still do now, and mom, and they've been extremely supportive. So I don't have that broken home, story that a lot of folks do, and I realize how lucky I am for that. Yeah, but luckily he surfed, so we
bonded over that.
Yeah, we got to do that.
So
and he loved music.
They were this career path that you chose in music before you had the success in Awolnation. You had a lot of failures. Did they ever try to say, "Hey, listen, Aaron, maybe accounting is for you," or something?
Well, my
like
dad
that?
is an accountant. That's one of the things he does. But yeah, I would say maybe 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, I remember having a really intense conversation with my dad in a spa of all things, in their backyard, and he's like, "Listen, what's the deal? It's not working.
Yeah.
You are in debt. You're homeless, basically. What are you gonna do? This is getting serious. You know what I mean? You're getting older.
Yeah.
You're not 21 anymore, and you got to figure it out, man. It was a real serious conversation, and I said, I think I know what I'm doing. I think at the very least, I have this pop sensibility that will lead me in the direction of some sort of success in music, because I don't know what else to do. It's what I know best." And and he looked me in the face and sort of gave me his vote of confidence and said he believed in me, and that was a huge moment.
Sure. I mean, that's got to be. He obviously just wants the best for you. And
Yeah.
he was probably wondering, he doesn't know a lot about the music industry. He'd probably seen some of the failures he had and was like, this doesn't seem like it's going in the right direction. Yeah,
and it's sort of the devil's playground, really, the music industry in a lot of ways, and touring and partying and all that stuff. So, for a parent, I think it's the absolute worst career path that your kids can take, so I try to keep level-headed as much as possible,
Now, when you have, all right, so you go through these failures before you start up Awolnation. You talk about how poor you are. Does things change once Awolnation comes out? That song "Sail" in particular becomes huge. Do things change? I mean, is there that song is like in commercials and stuff? Does that make you're not driving around in a Ferrari, I'm assuming, but
and nor would I if I had the money to do so.
Does that give you enough money to have any freedom that you want, or is it just it's good money, but it's not? I mean, you're not going to be set forever.
I'm not set forever yet.
Yeah.
That's the goal, obviously. To feel like you have security. That's ultimately the goal. I think as a man, that's what we all want. But when the label signed me, they gave me a little advance, not much, because I didn't want to sign a huge deal and be indebted to them forever.
Right.
Also, so I kind of bet on myself this time around. Where in the other bands before, we got bigger record deals. But that's borrowed money.
So you'd get an advance, and then you'd have to pay it all back to the record label.
And I'm happy to say that we are recouped. So that's cool. First time I ever have. And in the other bands, it was like, here's $100. Let's just say here's $100, but you owe me $100.
Right.
So I was false.
Actually, you'd end up owing them even more, because they'd go, "Oh, by the way, we sent out 10,000 of your CDs to radio stations, and we're charging you for all of those."
Those weren't free. Well, luckily for us, we gave out so much stuff for free online, and it cost nothing. So that's a good thing.
So things have picked up. You got a little bit of money rolling in at least, and that keeps you on your feet. And
I don't know how much money I have. That's the crazy thing, because the way it works is everything's about like 6 months to a year late.
Yeah.
As far as,
Well, you have to have a lot of trust in people then, I guess, that someone is someone that is going to handle this for you, or that the record label or whoever is actually going to be on the up and up. I'm assuming, I don't know personally, but I'm assuming there's a lot of shenanigans that goes on in the way that they do accounting for stuff. And I've talked to people, I can't think of who off the top of my head, but I've had people here in the studio who have sold millions of records, and they go, I can't remember who it was telling a story, they sold like 7 million records, and they go, and then like 2 years later, we find out that, out of all of that, we get paid X amount of dollars, and it was next to nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, this time around, being my third attempt, I was a little more savvy to what the deal is, So
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna get screwed over anytime soon. It hasn't happened yet on this project, and we'll see what happens. I gotta say, I mean, the label's been extremely good to me. If there's something we want to do, they approve it. You know what I mean?
It used to be that when a band would put their song in a commercial, that people would say that they sold out.
Yeah, that's done.
It's not like that anymore,
No.
though.
It's just not.
You almost need that as a way to promote yourself.
Well, listen,
these
MTV
days.
clearly isn't helping.
Yeah.
They're not playing music videos anymore. They used to be one of the hugest outlets for bands, and now that that's not, commercials have taken the place, I think, of MTV. Really, you know? I mean, radio's still going, but there's like what 40% of the alternative stations or rock stations that there used to be, something like that.
Oh,
And,
yeah, they don't make any money. That's why these companies, they get rid of them.
I will say, though, alternative music is on the up right now, for sure. And, it's becoming pop music, which is cool. Some of our songs have been played at pop radio stations, and I never, ever thought that would happen,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a really good time in music, actually.
You think
One of the
so?
better times. I think so in the last... it's been a while since I feel like music was this good, and I'm not talking about myself, but there's bands I'm enjoying right now, and I couldn't have said that 10 years ago, really.
Yeah. Didn't we see Awolnation, Charlie? Did we see them someplace in Rochester? Maybe no. We didn't see Awolnation. All right, I thought that we did.
We talked about wanting to see them.
Yeah. All right. I thought that we did go see them.
not yet.
Obviously, you didn't see it because you would.
I would remember that. That would have made the impression on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I
no,
didn't mean-
we were very average that night, And tonight we're going to be below average. It's going to be great.
Tonight at the House of Blues at 8:00, see Awolnation. And now, is the band? Is it? You're the main guy, and you've put all this. Now, do you have like a set band that a group of guys that's in Awolnation, or did you just compile these people, or how did that come about?
Most everybody in the band are friends of mine, good brothers, and my guitar player was in all the other bands before with me. Keyboard player, like I mentioned earlier, engineered Sale and is a great engineer. The list goes on and on. But I basically
do you write all the stuff yourself then, or is it a collaborative effort with the other guys in the band?
I write everything myself.
You do.
There were a couple songs on the record where I co-wrote with other producers or songwriters or whatever, only on 3 songs or 4 songs. But it's sort of the best way to describe it is, I suppose, I'm the architect of this thing.
Do you think the other guys, let's say you put out another record that does pretty well, do you think that the guys will say, hey, we want to become more involved in some of the songwriting and aspects like that?
I'm sure that would be a great thing, for them. And if the time comes where that's appropriate, then I will entertain that for sure. I just care about the song being as good as possible. So, if someone has a great idea and they should present it to me and I go, okay, wow, that's great, I want to work on that, then I will. But I won't force that.
Yeah.
It worked out for me this way, so I want to continue to keep the ball rolling, and I think they're appreciative of the success as well. I'm able to employ them and pay them because of the success. So I assume that they would want that to continue as well. You know what I mean? But I'm not opposed to it. I definitely don't want to work with any other songwriters or producers. I want to continue to produce this whole thing and oversee the whole thing myself. But if there's someone I was going to write with, it's probably the guys in the band. No one else.
Yeah.
If Jeff Lynne came to me, though, I would write with him.
Who? I don't even know.
Jeff Lynne. He's the singer of ELO, and he's one of the best producers of our time.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, check it out. He produced and co-wrote "Free Falling," dude.
Wow.
By Tom Petty.
He's probably done a billion different things, I'm guessing.
He he worked with the Beatles, man.
You would jump at that chance.
Absolutely,
that's the only guy.
He's the only one. In every interview I do, I try to mention him. So one day maybe he'll just be listening and hear it. But so far we haven't been able to get a hold of him.
Are you single? Married? What's your?
I have a girlfriend.
You have a girlfriend now. Now, is that difficult? I'm assuming because you're probably on the road a lot.
It can be very difficult, of course. It's hard, but if you're in a good relationship, I wouldn't be in one unless it was worth it. So,
how long have you been dating her?
It's been a little while,
So a long period of time.
Yeah, she was sort of there for me when I was homeless. I lived with her parents for a while.
So through the lean years, she
Yeah.
stuck through you.
Yeah, see,
I think that's good,
like if
though.
I found a girl now, I wouldn't trust her. I feel like,
Right.
So it's great that she was there, and if you were to meet her, you would wonder why she's with me. Honestly, man, she's much better than I am in every way. She keeps me together, and she was definitely a huge influence on the record for sure.
Now, would you ever get married, do you think, or no?
I'm not a huge marriage is a weird thing to me. I feel like if your relationship is really strong, why would you want to mess that up?
I agree with you 100%
That's sort of
on
my
that.
thing, but like, I feel like our relationship is equal, if not better, to any marriage that I know of. So we're not in any hurry. She's very
I
young.
agree 100% on that.
Maybe if we had kids, I could see that becoming more of a situation.
Right.
Of course, I'm saying this. Maybe she's like,
It's just like that
but
bastard.
yeah, we have a good relationship.
He
It's
was
all good.
homeless. I took him in, and he's, all right, Aaron Bruno is going to be at 8 o'clock at the House of Blues. Awolnation going to be over there. Go see Awolnation.
It
For
is
tickets.
sold out though.
Oh, it's sold out?
May as well just throw that out there.
We'll just rip up this
Scalping
card
tickets.
up there. It's sold out. I mean, that's got to be something for you.
That's the best, man. It really is.
To go from being basically homeless and all these failed record deals to now selling out shows.
Yeah.
That's got to really be something else.
It's really emotional.
When are you going to put out another record?
It's probably going to be next year. Some of these songs continue to grow and have second lives and third lives and fourth lives. So they're cats, I guess. But even, like I said before, sales started to hit this new world of the pop world. Which
Yeah.
is kind of a weird thing for me, for sure. A song that really was just supposed to be this dirty little hip hop punk rock secret, and it ended up being this thing,
What's it about?
The song?
Yeah.
It's really for the listener to decide.
Do you not like giving the meaning behind a song so that
No.
people could interpret it any way that they see fit? That's what you
Yeah,
prefer?
because what if you thought it was about a microphone, for example, and turns out it was about a banana. The song's about a banana.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. No, yeah, like I there's been interviews that I've been interested in the past where, I discovered that the song was about something completely different than I thought, and it kind of bummed me out, So I like to leave it up to the listener, but in a nutshell, I could say that it's sort of like just a journal entry, really, of how I was feeling at the time.
Is that how most of the stuff comes about? I mean, which is harder, the music or the lyrics?
I would say the lyrics for sure, yeah.
So you agonize over not agonize, maybe that's not the right word, but it's much harder to make the lyrics than it is the music.
Sometimes, in the case of Sail, for example, the lyrics come real quick, at the same time as discovering the melody, and it seems like it's meant to be, and you don't want to mess with that, And then there's other times where you have this really strong melody, but you don't have anything to say, and you just feel like an idiot, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, it really just
So is that the
depends.
way that it normally works? You come up with the actual song, the melody, before any lyrics? Do you write the music then and then put lyrics to it, or do you ever do it the opposite way, where you write lyrics and then
I never
plug it
write
in?
lyrics first.
No.
That's
Okay.
the only thing I don't do. I probably should. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do that after this interview. But the melody is the most important thing to me.
Yeah.
And then because you may have something great to say, but if it's not an important melody, and doesn't have that feeling that captures people, then there's no point really.
Well, good
Otherwise,
luck on
you'd be a poet, right?
You like poetry,
I don't really, actually.
but you did good in English class
I
because
did
there was
okay.
poetry.
I did okay. Well, I had a couple good teachers.
I didn't have out of all the teachers that I had, I would say like 5%, maybe 10% tops were actually seemed interested or any good.
Absolutely.
Or maybe I was just such a bad student that everyone gave up on me. I don't know.
But good teachers can sense when there's a bad student that the bad student is probably got something to offer in this world, but they haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
I always bonded with the good teachers because I challenged them. And I got in a lot of trouble. For sure.
Yeah.
I spent my whole senior year in high school doing trash duty at lunch.
What would you get in trouble for?
Just stupid things, laziness or not showing up. I wasn't necessarily like a violent kid or wasn't picking on anyone or anything like that. I just I spent a lot of time surfing instead of being at school, so that was a big reason. And I got relatively terrible grades. To get a C was like an A to me. So
Yeah.
my grades were on my own curve.
Did your parents ride your ass during that period of time, like do better in school?
No, but they weren't very happy with the grades I was getting. And that's actually when I got tested to see if I had ADD or not. I was a freshman. I was maybe a sophomore, and because they figured that my grades should be better because they thought I was smarter than my grades were showing. And I guess that just goes to show that high school is
now
not
when they test you for ADD, did they determine anything, or they go, hey, you're just no?
It was
he's
basically
just,
an IQ
he's
test.
just a lazy kid. He doesn't want to do the work. He's not interested in school.
Yeah.
He doesn't. There's nothing wrong. I think that a lot of these kids that get diagnosed with ADD and stuff, and you're like, that's a kid, man. That's how I was.
Yeah.
It's
just a human being. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. What 14-year-old boy is interested in this kind of stuff?
Exactly.
Please. All right, Aaron. Good luck on the tour and with writing what will be another record to come out next year. I appreciate you coming in, and Aaron Bruno, Awolnation, over at the House of Blues tonight, sold out.
Nice.
And go scalp a ticket or something. Charlie, can you play an Awolnation song to play? All right, play Sail on the way out. Aaron, thank you for coming in, my man.
Thanks for the opportunity, man.
I'll take a quick break. We'll be right back on Rover's Morning Glory. Hang on.